Admitting. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Summer of Access webinar series. We're going to get started exactly at start time. We have the welcome slides on the screen, and I'm going to make sure that these are put back into the chat as we go. You've been muted as you've been entering the room. Welcome, and we'll get started right here. So welcome to the Summer of Access. Today's presenter, Judy Katz. We're so happy to have her join us. This series is brought to you by L'Etoile Education and the Accessibility L&D community. We're going to jump right into some of the Zoom meeting reminders. So we're in a Zoom meeting, so not necessarily a webinar setting. We have the ability to unmute, but please stay muted unless speaking. Use chat or raise hand feature. Recordings will be shared in the Accessibility L&D community after the session. Live captions and transcripts are available to you throughout today. We will be using, again, the chat, and if you need to raise your hand, please do so. Webinar topics for July, we have these listed here. The noise in the channel, why WCAG matters for meaningful learning. That'll be July 8th. We have audio descriptions for you on July 10th. And we have how do blind people see the computer on July 15th. But today's session is all about Judy and what she has to share with us all. So let me introduce Judy. She brings decades of experience designing accessible and inclusive learning experience across industries, from healthcare and finance to retail and education. Her work spans leadership development, DEI, communication, and usability, and she has deep expertise in supporting neurodivergent learners and employees. She partnered with leading organizations like the Learning Guild, ATD, and TLDC to raise awareness and build practical solutions that improve how we work. Today, join Judy while she leads a vital conversation on how to position accessibility not just as a DEI or disability initiative, but as the foundation of broader access planning and organization strategy. Please join me in welcoming Judy. All
Thank
right.
you so much, Nicole. I appreciate that. And I still look like I'm sharing my screen. Are my slides visible?
Yeah, I see them. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, thank you everyone so much for being here today. I really, really love this topic. This sort of sprung out of some conversations that I had recently, or rather had again, because they've been going on a long time throughout my career. As Nicole said, I am primarily a consultant and trainer helping organizations become more neuro-inclusive and neuro-accessible. However, I have a couple decades of experience in L&D, building courses, strategizing, et cetera. And a lot of that has focused on accessibility and usability and technology and good design. And at the intersection of that is this conversation. And it's very similar to ones that I was having, 15 years ago when I was just trying to make the industry realize that HTML5 was coming down the pipe, and we needed to, our software vendors needed to break from all of these Flash-based tools. Surprisingly, that conversation is coming back into this accessibility topic today. So that's just to kind of give you a sneak peek of what I mean when I say we are going beyond accessibility and even beyond universal design. I am kind of dipping my toes back into that. So this stuff is not necessarily neurodivergent specific, although a lot of neurodivergent accessibility practices also lend itself to this very well and are very much included in this topic. So let's go back about 4 or 5 months and talk about ATD TK or Tech Knowledge. It's a pretty small conference. I was invited to speak along with Sarah Mercier, and the slide that I just switched to, by the way, has a picture of me with the book at TK. The book is designed for all learners. And Sarah was the editor of this book, and I wrote all of the sections on neurodivergence. So a little bit of a plug. It is an amazing compendium of stories and tips and best practices about accessibility. And we actually are in the middle of a book club that a lot of the contributors and authors are participating in right now. Well, anyway, so we got invited to speak at ATD Technology, and they did a very different kind of conference this year. There was a whole track on accessibility. They had different kinds of sessions. And so we got into some very deep conversations with people throughout that. I'm just adding here, this was our session slide, and the words on the screen are ATD Technology had a whole track on accessibility. And so um, we ended up talking to a lot of the same people throughout the conference because they were the ones that were there to focus on accessibility, and we're really able to talk to them about the challenges that they have. And by and large, they were not technological challenges, they were organizational challenges to promoting accessibility efforts. So I'm switching to the next slide, and this one just has some text that I'm going to read, and it says accessibility is still hard to sell, even in organizations that should value it. And when I say should value it, I'm being nice. There are organizations that are legally required to prioritize accessibility and to follow accessible practices. And it still can be hard to sell the value of accessibility within a lot of organizations. So, a lot of people are talking to us about how to make this work within their organization, how to um, uh, promote the value of accessibility, how to start doing accessible things when their time is tracked very, very minutely. It's very difficult to add on or change existing practices because that's just very difficult to do organizationally. And personally, it's only getting more difficult. This isn't really a mystery. It's clear that protections for marginalized groups are under fire in the U.S. right now. Everybody can see the writing on the wall for accessibility. We can tell that there are many battles ahead. Plus, when there is chaos and churn and uncertainty in the business world and within organizations, this tends to be the kind of thing that is put further on the back burner, and you know that accessibility often already is. So the organization cares about surviving and about being efficient and moving fast, and not necessarily about bringing everyone with the whole organization as they move. So this is still very hard to sell. And a lot of us who have been advocating for accessible practices have been holding up that legal bat for a long time. Well, you have to do it. If you're in a certain kind of organization, you have to do it because it's the law. And that very well may be, something that is weakened in the current state, and something that we may not even have for much longer. So one of the issues that we're getting asked is, how do we convince our organizations that accessible practices aren't a waste? And it really dovetailed nicely with one of the main points that we wanted people to take home, which was accessibility. I just switched the slide, and it's a screenshot of two slides. One says accessibility does not equal disability. Accessibility equals access. And in this session, I'm going to invite you to start thinking about accessibility, yes, still in terms of disability, but also in terms of broader access and the ways that we provide broader access by adopting accessible practices. Maybe even we will stumble across something that your company values and wants to provide. So that's my hope. So without further ado, let's talk about one of the accessible practices that we use a lot in talking about accessibility, and that is curb cuts. It's become kind of a metaphor for a lot of things, and it's a great metaphor. We're actually going to talk about it in two different contexts. The first one is just about the efficiency and cost of doing curb cuts as part of the original design versus retrofitting. So I have a picture on the slide now of a curb cut, and just the text that says including curb cuts in the original design versus retrofitting cut curbs after the fact, is much, much more efficient and cost effective. And that is what we want to, that is a lesson that we want to just include in this and sort of go along with all of the reasons that you should adopt accessible practices. Number one is that if you just include them when you are just doing the original design and development, then retrofitting, doesn't have to happen, which is a much more time-intensive process, and expensive and everything like that. And we can identify that, I think, identify with that a lot in instructional design, because probably most of us have had a at least one project where we had to go back and make alterations to a video or a course, and somebody said, "Oh, just change this," but and gave us the course files, like downloaded from the LMS or whatever, but we didn't have the native files. You didn't have all of the things that went into the movie or the course. You don't have the story file. You might have the story. I'm sorry, you might have the output, but not the story file, the used storyline. And so we are at least familiar with that concept, that there are a lot of things that we can do during design and development to make edits happen more easily if they have to happen, and also to, sort of future proof our designs, so that we hopefully have to do less retrofitting, period. So, one lesson of curb cuts is that if you think about it beforehand, if you're planning for the future, then you will plan for design and develop good designs, good output, good content, good experience that include accessibility. Now, the other lesson of curb cuts is the one we're going to spend a little bit more time on, and it's something called the curb cut effect. And this slide has a sketchplanation, is part of a lovely series of just sketches that explain things. It's kind of like it sounds. And this one says the curb cut effect, and excuse me, the caption on the picture says, when we design for disabilities, we make things better for everyone. And this is a picture of a park, and out to the street, and there is a curb cut, and there are many different kinds of users, all of whom might have a particular use for the curb cut. So let's actually spend a minute and talk about these users. So I have boxed them up here in this. I've added to the sketchplanation a little bit, and have given um, all of the users a letter. So we have a wheelchair user. Um, I'm sorry, I can't. I have to try to make this bigger because I can't see very well. Um, B, we have a user with a cane. C, somebody carrying or pushing a stroller. D, somebody with wheeled luggage. E is somebody using a trolley, like a wheeled cart, with some boxes on it. And F is using a skateboard. It's way in the very back. And then G, you have two users on bicycles who, for some reason, are riding on the sidewalk. And as a Portlander, this picture gets me every time. The curb cut shouldn't really be relevant to the bicycle users, but that's okay. I'm going to get past it, I promise. So all of those users fall into three categories. The first category is users with permanent or temporary disabilities. Now, this might be very well what the curb cut was made for. However, it's not by any stretch of the imagination the only users that benefit from it. You also have second category, users with non-work related situational needs. Like they don't necessarily have a disability, but because of what they're doing, what they're handling at the time, they have a situational need. And there are lots of users in this sketchlination that are um, that have situational needs. They're not necessary. They don't necessarily have an apparent disability. And then finally, a category, the last category is users with work-related situational needs. So we have some that are recreational. We have some that might be work-related. And I'm just going to ask you to take a minute or two and categorize these. And for accessibility, I actually intended to be able to copy and paste that list of which users are doing which thing. But I'm just going to go through it really quickly, and you can think to yourself, if nothing else, is it a user with a permanent or temporary disability? Is it a user with a non-work related or recreational situational need? Or is it a user with a work related situational need? And again, A is in the wheelchair, B is using a cane, C is pushing a stroller, D has wheeled luggage with them. E has a cart with boxes on it. F has a skateboard. And G has bicycles, two bicycles.
I was trying to keep up like a note taker and get them into the chat, but we're trying. We got A. We got.
It's not, ultimately, it's not really important that you get it right or wrong. It's important that we think about this, and we think about the users that it was designed for, other users that it would affect, and then users that it would affect and that work might actually care about. So let's go through these. These are the answers that I got. A in the wheelchair and B with a walking cane are users with permanent or temporary disabilities. Users with non-work related situational needs are C, the stroller, D, the wheeled luggage, although who knows, they might be going off on a business trip. F, the skateboarder, and G, the bicyclers. And then users with a work-related situational need would include E, um, who is pushing the cart with the boxes on it. So most of those have wheels, which is the reason that the curb cuts are effective and are helpful. But of course, it can also be for, there is a user with a cane there, and the curb cut makes that sidewalk much easier to navigate into the street. People have thrown a lot of other things up in this picture sometimes. If you're walking a dog with really short legs or an old dog or something like that, then that there could be many many other users as well. And I think this is a great example of when we design for disabilities, we make things better for everyone. I think that this is one of the most perfect illustrations of universal design that I've seen. That um, a lot of things that we do for accessibility make things more usable. And it's just a fantastic illustration of that. Now, I want to take it a little bit further as well and think about that audience where we that are just they don't necessarily need the curb cut for disability purposes, but it is making it more usable. So basically, everybody except A and B are helped with their task because of that curb cut. And what I want to suggest in terms of um, um, making our efforts and our conversations around accessibility more effective is that we not only focus on usability for everyone, because usability also can be a kind of soft thing to sell within the organization, but we take some time to think about which users have those work related situational needs so that we can make the argument that when we design for those people, we are helping them do their jobs. We are increasing productivity. We are making them more efficient and effective. And in this case, it's probably just E. Like if all of those people are employees, that E is probably the one that actually has a work-related situational need. But of course, the depending on the job and the organization, there could be others as well. Maybe, you work for an airport and that person with the suitcase is your customer, and that's the person that you're there to serve. So it's not necessarily just employees that benefit from accessible and usable practices. It could also be customers. And so increasing revenue can also be a powerful argument for accessible practices in terms of practices that increase access for everyone. So, um, and I would say, by the way, if if I'm working for an organization that doesn't care about A and B, I'm not sure that they're gonna care about C. I'm not sure about that they're gonna care about the person pushing the stroller, because, caregivers, mostly women, are another marginalized population in the work world. So you can make that argument, but it may sound really cynical, but if they're not gonna care about the person in the wheelchair, I'm not sure that they're gonna care about the person doing a caregiving task either. But I hope that they will care about maybe the people who are using your products and services as customers, and the people that are using internal content and web experiences, et cetera, to do their jobs. So that's just what we want to focus on as much as possible, is start highlighting those people in the conversation. Now, the curb cut was a metaphor. Let's bring it to real life. Let's see how this actually might play out in a work-related situation. Um, Here we have, I have just labeled this slide work-related situational need. And there's just a picture. It's a very boring picture, because it is a screenshot of what you see when an image won't load. And I know that we are in much higher bandwidth situations usually than in the early days of the internet. So you may not have seen one of these for years, but it's just a picture of a broken picture icon. And under that icon, there is either going to be the file name, if that's all the web browser knows about that picture, or there's going to be alt text if alt text has been included when this content was being designed and developed. And so this says, for example, a gauge with the indicator pointing midway between 50 and 60 on the dial. And this might be something that might be a training course or a reference article that somebody might be accessing while in the field, while in a low bandwidth environment. And that's why the image is broken. And so that alt text that may have been there for a sight impaired user is actually helping the person who is just out in the field and doesn't have very good internet access as well. So that's a very simple work related situational need that can help us sell the value of accessible practices like including alt text. So I'm curious, by the way, how the chat is doing, because I haven't. Whoa, I see Nicole interacting a whole lot with the chat, and um, wonderful. Okay, well, it's a good time to pause for questions if there are any, Nicole, that you feel are pressing or relevant right now. Um,
I'm not seeing any questions just yet. There were a
okay,
few comments, but if anyone
wonderful.
has a question, please feel free to put these in now. Do some follow-up. This would be a
Yeah.
great time.
I really, really appreciate you doing that. It is so hard to keep track of the chat while you're talking. So, So this is a related situational need. Another thing that we might be able to sell to our stakeholders and higher ups in the organization could simply be individual preferences. And you know, it's one of those things that you don't think they would go for, but somehow everyone went gaga for generational learning styles a few years back. And so this is actually something that I think is pretty easy to sell. And honestly, I think that most people will know the value of it personally. Let's talk about TikTok. TikTok was one of the first um, video platforms to really promote and expand the use of captions within the videos. And a lot of the TikTok captions are really there for, you know, engagement. They're there to sort of have something moving on the screen when there isn't much else going on the screen. Some of them are not necessarily how you would um, do captions for great accessibility, but they do provide still a higher level of access. So, show of hands, who scrolls TikTok on the couch while watching TV with the sound off? That would be me. And you know, not everybody has to cop to it if you don't want to. But that is I might just or okay, or YouTube Shorts or whatever. And all right, Nicole, you can be the odd person out. A lot of people though, it's not just millennials or Gen Z or whatever we're, you know, whichever generation we're demonizing this month. Um, a lot of people have started relying on using those captions because, you know, they're consuming some other media at the same time because they're in a group, because they're parenting or caregiving, and there are other people around who may or may not want to see the same videos, or you may not want them to see the same videos, whatever. There or because you're on a train and you forgot your earbuds and you're zooming out, you know, on your commute to work. There are lots and lots of different reasons that we have grown accustomed to using captions on videos. And that can be used in the whole accessibility argument. This is just what people expect now. This is just what people are used to now. Honestly, I think that in addition to those those use cases that I just talked about, you know, you're around your kids and you don't want them to, you know, hear that song, or you're on the commute and you don't want to, you know, blare the whatever video that you're watching. In addition to that, I think that because those captions are so present now, what has really happened is that a lot of people have realized that they have audio processing disorder, or they have another reason that just having the captions, even in addition to the sound, having the captions helps them understand and access the material a lot better. This can be a neurodivergent thing. This is something that I have very strongly. I have great hearing, but I always use captions whenever I watch movies. You know, people mumble, people have accents. You know, people talk really fast. People talk over each other. I can't handle all of those things, or sometimes I can't even just handle processing audio information, and especially if there's like just a lot of overstimulation. So, I think a lot of people have realized that it just works better for them anyway, and it's a preference. And it even can be, you know, I don't want to veer too much into the learning styles kind of thing, but it can be very helpful for someone when in any one of those situations, or who just has difficulty processing a lot of audio.
We have a question for you.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Jennifer, do you have any AI or tech tools to automate accessibility practices, auto create the captions? What are you using that you recommend?
I use Otter, Otter AI, and I am evaluating Descript. Sarah Mercier, the co-author and editor that I was talking about at the beginning, and when we had this presentation, we get this question a lot. She's a Descript fan. I've just been using Otter for a long time, and so it's what I'm used to. I think it does a superb job in terms of accuracy. Excuse me. I think I'm on the verge of a cold here. I think it does a superb job in terms of accuracy. I think that it has a really good editing interface for when you have to go back and do those edits. And so that's kind of been my go-to. But I'm evaluating Descript. I hear there are a lot of really cool things there. Yeah, thank you for the links there. Appreciate that in the chat, Nicole. Um, yeah, I think that those are really another example is Netflix. Yes, and streaming services struggles with volume changes. Absolutely. So I love that CBS did a story recently on the rise of closed caption use in the United States. I'm gonna have to look that up. I really appreciate that, Jacob. Thank you so much. I love it when people just throw in related stuff. I don't think that I am the beginning and end of this conversation in the slightest. There are so many different reasons and rationales and situations that people are coming from that make this relevant. So I feel like this is, what the stuff that we're talking to about today is I'm giving you some ideas about, and some examples, but I that's really to invite you to find the relevant ones within your organization so that you can go out and make those arguments for promoting accessible practices or using accessible practices and including them in your workflow and making that just the way things are done, right, Nicole? Nicole and I were chatting earlier about, how once you start doing things in an accessible way, it's just like this whole other layer of, your design thinking that you compulsively check. Yeah, and that's a great place to be. It can be a painful place to be if you haven't been there and you have to go back and see all of the stuff that you did. But when we know better, we do better. So it's wonderful. Okay, so I invite you to find those those situations within your organization. The next slide just has that infomercial guy, I think Ron Mays, and it says, "But wait, there's more," and there is more because it's not just about making things more usable for the people who um, are already. Maybe don't have a disability, but might have a work-related need. Okay, wait, there's more. Um, not only, oh, sorry, not only do accessible practices increase access for people with disabilities, usually increase usability for people without disabilities, and increase access for people with work-related situational needs. There's this whole other layer that we need to talk about. So I'm going to take you to Facebook or this is relevant to any social media, and just ask whether you have been in this situation before. Somebody posts a cool meme on Facebook and you chuckle or whatever and move on, keep scrolling. Or maybe it does one of those things where it flashes up some content and then refreshes as soon as Instagram looking at you, as soon as start, as soon as you actually get in it, and then you're never able to find that one meme or picture or whatever again. So let's say somebody shares a cool meme. I just took a screenshot of um, a meme that I shared a couple months ago on May 4th. And it's stormtroopers having a conversation. The first one says, "May the 4th be with you." I actually shared this on May 5th. The first one says, "May the 4th be with you." The second one says, "It's May 5th." And the first one says, "Damn, I missed it." So stormtrooper joke. So let's say that you saw that in your feed and you wanted to get back to it. You wanted to find it again. So you pull up the search bar and you type in May the 4th. Does anybody have any predictions about what's going to happen when we just search for the words that are in a meme on social media? Does that usually work for you to go find that meme? I'm just gonna invite you to think about that because great, if you often have great success with that, cool. But this is what happened for me when I went back and searched, and this was my own post. Couldn't find it. The first one that I got was a meme in an IT humor group that says Star Wars is essentially a movie about a data breach response, one that failed rather miserably. Haha, IT humor. And The second one was a BuzzFeed article about the White House releasing something weird on on May the 4th. They had released a kind of weird AI generated photo. And the third one was this adorable video of baby chicks dressed up like Star Wars characters in my backyard chicken group. And I was able to find all of those, but I was not able to find the one that I was originally looking for. Can anyone tell me why? From looking at these pictures, these screenshots, can anyone tell me why I got those three, but I didn't get my original one? You can put it in the chat. All right, right on target. The very first one, no alt text. When I posted the original meme, I didn't put a caption. I didn't put alt text. There was nothing but, those words are readable to us, but they are not readable to the browser. And so it's just, there's no text information there to search for. However, these three others all had something, a caption, oops, sorry. Oh my gosh. Um, a little funny line that included, May the 4th be with you, the caption on the reel, everything. There's all of those three have something that includes text that is readable by the browser, not just by your eyes. And so that made it inherently more searchable. And by the way, I have this problem on social media all the time. In my work, I use a lot of memes. Um, and so I have to, I am frequently going on Instagram or Facebook or something like that and searching for something and just praying that there is someone on this entire social platform has actually alt texted it, or, done something else that gets me close enough to the post that I want to find. Um, Now, I will say, by the way, that things are different on my phone. Um, Only in the last couple of years, my phone has gotten smart enough with OCR that I could, if I have this meme or any image in my photo library, I can type in May the 4th, and it will actually search inside the text in pictures. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty good on iPhones. And I hear it's the same thing on Android. So um, that is just to say that with really high end, like not really high end, but more advanced consumer technology, we're getting there. But enterprise technology, we're probably not going to be there for a while, where there's good enough OCR, and that is part of the software where we're actually searching for the text inside images, and indexing the text inside images so that it can be searched. So that we're probably not going to be at that phase for a long time if you're talking about the software that you use within your corporate job or your organization. Excuse me. Um, so in the meantime, these are the benefits that we get from having. Oh, I'm sorry. These are, I think, the main practices that um, make the content that we post and the experiences that we create more machine readable. The slide just says alt text, captions, transcripts, structured text, and code. We will talk about all of that. But what those things do for us is that they translate content from the images and video into text, and otherwise make it more machine readable. quick sidebar to talk about the word machine readable, because this sounds, I think we use the word machines, it sounds like big scary robots or something. But basically, that just means software, apps, browsers, make it so that the computers, the software, whatever, can read it as well as we can. If it's a really clear meme, if I have text versus image, text that's within an image, I can read either one of those pretty much equally. But the machines can't, not at this stage. So making things more machine readable gives us some advantages. Here are just a few ideas. You want your learners to be able to copy and paste course content into their notes. Just some scenarios that you might use this for. So you want your learners to be able to like take a notebook, paste out content. Or if you're creating reference documents, maybe you want people to be able to copy out codes for use in some system. And so you don't want to stick it inside text or anything else, or I'm sorry, you don't want to stick it inside images or video or anything else that is not machine readable, because to be able to select and copy um, and then paste, the machine has to recognize that it's text. It has to be machine readable. The next one, you want your learners to be able to access content on any device in any location. So thinking back to the alt text example, where because we alt texted a picture, somebody was able to get the gist of what the picture showed, even though they were in a low bandwidth environment. Again, most browsers, especially what we're using inside of organizations, are not going to just look at an image and, describe it for you and have that available as alt text. So, taking that step of doing it yourself really, really helps. Nicole, what
You just
questions?
made me
Mhm.
think of a thought. Like, so
Yeah.
earlier when you were describing the curb cut image,
Hmm.
I took a screenshot
Hmm.
of your drawing
Hmm.
and then I asked ChatGPT to connect the letters with your categories so that I could, and you'll see in the chat how I was,
Okay.
so I wonder at some point, so we can do that with ChatGPT, but at some point,
Mhm.
will these machines be able to do that? I think, right, am I on track of what you're,
Probably, yes.
yeah.
There is a lot about accessibility work that I think will be, able to be done by machines themselves as we work on, the software that enables machines to actually read inside of, video and read or hear or, whatever inside of images and video and everything like that. Like I said, some of it is already here, in good consumer electronics. We see some of this already. Um, we, and on the other hand, we are still getting self-driving cars that run over people. So, it's not perfect even within, like a consumer space. Think about though the enterprise technology that you work on. Think about your LMS. Is that a piece of software that is highly usable, that is highly advanced in terms of, the ability of the technology to do what the humans need it to do? Probably not. So yes, I think it's a great point. I think it'll get there. And you know I'm fine with that. I'm We're going to talk a little bit more about AI, but like I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about AI. There's a whole lot of complexity there. But just from a factual perspective, if everything else is equal, which it's not in AI because there's environmental impact and a whole lot of other stuff. But if everything else is equal and the AI is good, I don't have a problem with that being the job of AI. I think computers should do what computers are good at, and we're training computers to be good at this particular thing. And I don't have a problem with that. This isn't like, as much of a moral argument as, should AI be creating art? You know, can AI alt text my pictures? Go for it. Like as long as it's doing it well and everything else is happening responsibly, which is not the case. But as long as everything else is equal. Yeah, I would love for AI to do this. This is computer work. This is grunt work. The same thing as adding, using a calculator to add. I would love for computers to do that for us, but we are not there quite yet. Okay, the third example on this slide is you want to paste several courses into the company's approved AI to have it generate an overview course. So maybe you are switching LMSs and you need to have a description generated, or maybe you just want to use the content that you've created to create a different course, maybe one that's more general like this example says. That can only be done if the computer is actually able to consume or machine read the content that has been created. Excuse me. So the last, yeah, I think last slide here, um, is just a summary of what machine readable content makes it easier to do. And I'm just going to wrap up with a couple of final points. And I would love to talk about a lot of the excellent points that are being made in the chat and take some questions. So let's just look at a laundry list. Machine readable content is easier to search and index. Like the Star Wars example that we looked at earlier. Um, You can't search it if you can't use a machine to search something if it can't read it. Copy and paste, convert to another modality like text to speech. And that is essentially what a screen reader is. That it is taking text that it can read and converting it to audio that the user can hear. So this is something that is used in accessibility all the time, but it might be useful within content and experience creation as well. So if you want to kind of take a course in one format, or video, whatever, in one format and change it to a different format. Also, or another modality rather. Next point is reformatting. So if you want to change the appearance or formatting, so the font size, light dark mode, reflow, like text wrapping on different devices. This is where we get back to that whole HTML5 topic that I was bringing up at the beginning. Part of the argument for HTML5 is that by putting more content into the code rather than into images and videos and flash files, we are making it easier to put that on mobile devices, which might be all different sizes. It was the Wild West 15 years ago with mobile devices, y'all. There were all different sizes. And then of course it was just mobile versus desktop. And so even something as simple as reflowing text is going to be much, much easier to accomplish. It's such a huge usability thing. If you have to pinch and zoom and scroll to just read a line of text, that's a huge usability problem. So even something as simple as reflowing text is massively helped by having the content machine readable. Adapt also, again, going back to all that terminology that we learned whenever HTML5 and mobile devices were just kind of coming onto the scene. It wasn't just reflowing the appearance of the text, but it was some pieces would appear on a desktop that wouldn't appear on a mobile device. And that was what we called adaptability, that the content actually has the ability to adapt itself based on what device you are, or it might be adaptable by geolocation. All of these things were made possible by HTML5. And so, or were a part of like the HTML5 revolution. So all of those things, again, are much more possible to do if the content is machine readable. Translate. Yeah, if there are apps now where you can just walk up to, a menu in Beijing and have it translate on the fly. Most enterprise software is not there yet, in terms of being able to pull that content out of a video or image. So if you want to translate content, if you want to translate content by machine, then you probably need to make it machine readable. And of course, then it could also be used to train AI. So if that is part of your company's practices and initiatives, then again, it's just if a machine has to interpret it, work with it, create algorithms based on it, the machine has to be able to read it. So that is, in a nutshell, the benefits that we get from making our content more accessible, which almost always means more machine readable. Because it makes sense, right? That if machines are going to take some content that is presented in this way and change it so that it can be heard by somebody who can't see or seen by somebody who can't hear, or whatever, then it has to be machine readable. Machine readability is a huge underlying, untalked about part of design practices and technology development around accessibility. Now, I think that these practices that we talked about, alt text, captions, transcripts, structured text and code, a lot of that have to do with how we handle media and how we like interpret and make media more machine readable. But I actually think that as we think about this, as we move toward greater machine readability for greater access, we need to think about the whole package. Okay, so it's not just alt texting an image within your storyline file. It is questioning whether storyline itself is the best way to go. If it could be a web page, if it could be maybe Rise would, work better. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to just talk about the media within our courses and our content, but about how the content is presented as a whole. Because the more that you have that is machine readable, the more you are going to be able to search and text, copy and paste, reformat, adapt, etc., and not just the stuff that was in within images. Okay, I would love to dive into um, the chat and see what um, comments we want to expound upon and what questions people um, may have. Yes. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Amanda. If you have to machine translate something, it there are ways around it, but it involves somebody typing a lot or somebody taking it over to an app that can do OCR, which is text recognition, by the way. It's just basically machine, quote unquote, reading. And you might have had to use OCR before if you have scanned a document and then had to work with the text in that document. Sometimes even maybe something is so embedded within a PDF, or the PDF is locked down, so you can't, work with the text. So you might use software that includes OCR to be able to read that text and turn it into machine readable format. So yeah, I love that comment. And, again, if you're using human translators, that might be different, but still, transferring files and everything like that, it's just so much easier with machine readable text, or if you're working with text instead of media. I love that. Okay. Nicole, make it perceivable. Of course, it was Nicole. Make it perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Was that okay?
Spelling error. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in. Back to the curb cut idea, it should also be noted that readable text is also yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw that. We were getting to translation, so I didn't stop at the time. But yes, very much. Very much so. And it's I feel like it's again one of those kind of cynical arguments that like if we don't care about accessibility, do we care about people who don't speak the dominant language? Hopefully we do. I mean, at least we probably do if they're customers. But yeah, it's um, uh, another example of um, how how this makes everything more usable for everyone. And I love that thinking, and I also love taking it a step further and being realistic about the values and like the priorities of our organization, and finding the users that they care about and the things that they want to accomplish. I guarantee almost the organization cares about efficiency, cares about productivity, cares about accuracy, and making things more machine readable, which what usually makes them more accessible as well, is going to improve all of those things. I
I think
love.
we're about to wrap
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah.
So this was
Mhm.
excellent. If there are any additional questions, please add them into the chat and we'll get the recording out, and just thank Judy so much. I really appreciated and thought it was very insightful how you weaved the example together of the curb cut effect, how you put them into categories and then gave us those tangible items and how it connected. So thank you so much. Super insightful. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I,
Really
I
appreciate
really hope that people continue to think about this. And I am on the Slack, not often, but I am trying to make Slack sticky for me again and get on it more often. And I just props to Nicole for creating this community, and for curating and uh, creating this webinar series.
I appreciate that
It's an honor to
too.
be part of it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you.
you. We hope to see everyone in the next one. We have sessions coming up in July, and we'll just get those posted here and take a look, and we'll see you there. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks.